What's up, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Lead From Here podcast. I am Jason. Today, we're talking about leaving it all on the playing field. This is such a cliche term, but I also can't think of another way to say it. And this is something that, as you become a leader, is harder to see, if it makes sense. Because when you're an individual contributor, you're working on a team, and you have a to-do list of things that are manageable and will get finalized to finish a project, you put yourself in a situation where there's times where you're just going to go all in. You're going to be like, this has to get done, so I'm going to stay late, I'm going to lose sleep, I'm going to do all this stuff. And it seems like, oh man, that's amazing. And there's times where it calls for that. There's times where you have to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning because a major server's down and customers on the other side of the world are impacted. There's times where you have a person that is struggling and it's impacting the rest of your team, so you have to work with them over and over and over and maybe still end up having to exit them. Like, there's a lot of things that can go wrong as a leader that require you to go outside your normal schedule, go outside your normal cadence of work, go outside your normal meetings, go outside all of the things that you do on a normal day-to-day basis as a leader. That's part of leadership. Part of leadership is sometimes you just have to kind of lay it all out there and say, this isn't working, this is working, and this is what I'm going to do to fix it. And then you just need to get into action mode and fix it. It's not easy. It's not fun most times. And it can be extremely draining, especially if you have a family. If you have a family and you are just driving yourself as hard as you possibly can to make your team successful, make your company successful, make your business successful, make your peers successful. There's a lot of different ways that can happen, and it's going to feel not great in the moment. And it's going to be hard on your family, and it's going to be difficult to get away from. But as you get away from it, as you get to a good spot, or you get that person exited, or you get that person promoted, or you get this project finished, or you get, dollars on the budget added because of the work you did, or you get a bigger bonus for your people, or you get all these different things that require you help solve a customer pain for an outage or a big bug or whatever. It won't feel great in the moment. Like, it might feel like, fractionally great that it was solved and like, okay, we got it done. But then you're gonna kind of go through a phase of like, man, I just lost out on a whole night with my family, or I lost out on a whole weekend with my family, or I lost out on a whole week because I had to travel to the customer to make them happy. Like, there is a different level of skin in the game when you're a leader. As an individual contributor, you can absolutely still be put in these situations. And I'm certainly not saying that that's any less impactful. It absolutely is impactful regardless of what's happening. But as a leader, there are way more opportunities to get pulled into that stuff than an individual contributor, because ultimately you're trying to protect those people. You're trying to make sure that your individual contributors are not, the people who report to you, you're not pulling them in at 2 a.m. The goal is to not bother them, not wake them up from their sleep, not take them away from their family whenever you possibly can. And that puts a whole different layer of burden on you. So it's important as a leader to understand that that's your job. Like, you are there to shield them. There to shield them from the bullshit and the blame and all the things that are not easy to do. So if this still sounds interesting to you to be a leader, it's important for you to find ways to disconnect. We've talked about that. To balance. We've talked about that. I'll link both of those in the description. But ultimately, you also have to understand that sometimes you're just going to have to lay it all out and just be in a bad spot to make sure that your people don't have to do that. Sometimes you're not going to be able to protect them. Sometimes you're both going to get burned. But ultimately, whatever you can do to not burn your people, you have to take on. Sounds kind of like martyrish. That's not really how it's meant to be. It's what our job is as a leader. It's important for us to do that. So if you can't do that, it's a different conversation, and that's okay. And maybe this isn't for you. But if you're up for it, it can be really rewarding over time, because while in the moment it might feel like, man, I missed out on time with my family, over a year or over a few years, those are going to balance out. And you'll look back and you'll go, those were just blips. They were not fun blips, but they were blips. And I've been able to build a great team and a great career, and our customers are happy, and I'm happy because I have a great job that is successful, and our company's successful, and my teams are successful. And that will, over time, build you into a very confident, happy, balanced individual. And that will make it easier when these things pop up and you're like, shit, I gotta deal with this. Well, all right, let's do it. Your family will hopefully understand. And, you know, that's important to make sure that they understand why this is happening and what your job is and what, you know, why you're doing what you do. That's just good to do generally. But ultimately, it will work itself out over time. So I hope this was helpful. This took a little longer than I was expecting, but still under 6 minutes. That's not too bad. Appreciate you guys being here. If you guys want to talk about any other topics or deeper on this topic, jason@leadfromhere.co, any of the social media platforms. If you like what you're hearing, like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. It means a lot to me. I appreciate you all. Take care.